you can't actually do sales. You get sales as a result. That's why it's called sales revenue. It's the outcome of a process. And the process is called...
Welcome to Where Are My Customers? Brought to you by AeroChat and produced by Stridex.
Hey, hello, Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alva, for your invitation. I'm excited. I don't know what you're going to ask me, so I'm nervous too.
No, I actually think you have an idea of what I'm going to ask you. And I'm going to just fire off the first question, right, with the one that has been on everybody's mind. So obviously, right, one of the more, talk about things about yourself, or at least within our circle, right, is how you manage to twist Chris Do to come to Singapore for a workshop. So I'm going to start off with that.
Okay.
Yes. So walk us, okay, basically what got me interested in it is, and I think a lot of people in sales and marketing, they would be very interested in how you have been able to secure Chris Do's agreement to come to Singapore, right? And I think that speaks to a lot of layers of sales and marketing. But maybe in your own words, right, walk us through how that whole thing transpired and, what led to the fact that Chris Do finally ended up in Singapore.
Finally ended up in Singapore. Well, I wasn't expecting that question, but anyway, so the first thing is, of course, like anything, right, you got to ask. So what happened was, just a little bit of a background. I'm very, very passionate about sales. And one of the things that I like about Chris Do is how he does conversational sales. And it's something that I really respect a lot because it's about being interested, being wanting to offer real value to people through conversational sales. So I've been listening to his content on and off over the years. And so my chairman actually introduced me his video a few years ago. I can't remember when, but it was some time ago. Anyway, so I've been following him. And one time when he posted on LinkedIn about his sales workshop in Miami and London, and we happened to be in a meeting I happened to have a meeting with my chairman, and we both had the same thought. Hey, why don't we bring him to Singapore? Because one of our beef is that a lot of people don't understand sales, and there's a lot of misunderstanding around sales. And yet, so many people need to learn how to sell because a lot of people really struggle. And we thought that it's a good idea to bring him to Singapore. So I half jokingly commented on his LinkedIn post and say, hey, Chris, why don't you come to Singapore? And I didn't just ask. I offered to sell for him on behalf of the company, of course. So my company, I say to him, we'll sell for you, we'll market for you, and that's how it got started.
Right. But so when you first commented on his LinkedIn, you mentioned, half jokingly. So were you expecting a positive reply from him, or you was
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even think he's going to reply. So, but he responded quite fast, and so clearly there's some interest over there. He asked about the date. So the first, if I didn't remember wrongly, the first question, the first thing he commented was when. So we discussed the date, and we had a few to and fro. However, we didn't finalize anything on the comments, of course, because it's like a casual thing to to explore. Anyway, subsequently, Alva, you know me, right? I'm a little bit relentless. So I chase him.
A little bit. Understatement of the...
So I chase him down. Chasing down as in I email the company because I understand given his popularity is not that easy. And I also believe that a lot of people have approached him for different things. If I'm him, I'll be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So in order to, obviously, this is when it's important, since you're talking about attracting clients and all that, right? How do we put ourselves in front of people? You got to get their attention. You got to say something that is going to be of benefit to them. So that's what. So I went through a few channels to try to get hold of him, and finally he replied with a meeting.
Right. So Well, I'm sure he probably might have slightly regretted the moment he commented. But I think you brought up something that's very
Why he regretted? Excuse me? Why did you say that?
no. I mean, on hindsight, obviously, I'm sure he enjoyed himself, right? Everybody enjoyed the workshop, so kudos to you and the and the whole Go Zone team for putting the show up. And I think I mentioned a few times to you and to some of your team members and to your chairman as well, right? That it was a very well put together experience, and I think everybody had a good time. And so kudos to you and your team. Obviously, I'm just wondering, right? Even for someone as seasoned as Chryso, right? Would he have encountered someone who's right off the bat so persistent and like you say relentless? Because I think the challenge, I'm not sure if challenge is the right word, but a lot of times, people, one thing is people don't ask, right? I think one of the key things, why I wanted straight away in this podcast talk about this experience that you have, right, is because you ask where a lot of people would have, just make a passing comment and that's it, right? But you ask, and I think that is something that a lot of people don't do. But you shared something else. You were also relentless in the follow-up. And I think that's something that a lot of people are not familiar with. So maybe if you can shed some light on, that kind of mindset, that drives you to, ask and drives you to just keep following up until you get that objective that you want.
So when it comes to follow up, I think you're right that it's something that a lot of people don't do. I think it has to do with success mindset, because when you are in business, and whether it's yourself or your team, most people, if you look at in today's society, most people are busy and overwhelmed by basically problems. Most businesses have all kinds of problems. And if you don't follow up, in a way that can get their attention, no one is going to give you attention. And when I follow up, right, it's not about getting a meeting from him, which is what a lot of people fall into the trap with this thing. How they ask, this is how people ask.
Okay.
Employees ask for salary, want an increment. How they ask is, give me more pay. And then business want to sell their services, buy it from me. And it's all about getting. What can I get from you? And it's repulsive. We are all consumer, and some of us are employer. We know what it's like from the other side. So when I say ask, it's not about asking for what you want. Ask in a way that can help them see what you can give them. And I think that's the secret to asking. But we are very used to asking for what we want. No, you ask someone in a way to help them see what you can give them. And very few people do that. And that's why, from an attention point of view, if you can understand what people want and you give it to them, isn't it normal for them to be able to, isn't it easier for them to give you the attention when everyone else is trying to get from them? If you look at all the celebrity from attention point of view, when someone is popular, someone is rich, and they're surrounded with people who want something from them. They want their favor. They want to leverage on their name. They want to tap on their fame. And it's all about getting something from them. And when you are successful, when you're popular enough, right, it's a very common phenomenon, and they get skeptical. And that's why if you ask like everyone else, then you are going to look like everyone else.
But beyond that, right, I think, so yes, we shouldn't just be asking because of our selfish agenda. I get that. We need to think about what is it for the other person. But even then, even with that mindset, a lot of people are afraid. I don't know whether afraid is the right word. Maybe you can advise later. But they are not able to make that first ask. So what is it that is stopping a lot of people from making that first ask or first move? And I speak on behalf of a lot of, business owners and founders, right? Especially, when we are building new products, we're building new business, right? We might need to go into very strange, uncharted territories. And there is, but we need help and we need new customers, we need new support, and then there is a need to ask. But a lot of people are trapped. Can you speak to like what are the challenges or what are the blocks that are preventing people from asking more and getting what they want?
Right. Thank you for the question. I think this is a very common thing. I can relate to that too. I mean, even though I've been asking a lot of people, but I still have my fair share of block at different point in time. It depends on which state I'm in. So I would say some of the common challenges that stop people from asking, on top of my mind is self-doubt. So when we have self-doubt, like for example, if you're developing a new product or new services, right? One of the self-doubt is that, is this going to work? Are they going to trust me? Am I able to follow through? What if I fail? And would you agree that's something that is very common from your experience?
Yes, I think so. Which is kind of interesting that you mentioned that, and then you mentioned that you also have your fair share, right? In various situations. So I'm just curious. You ask again, going back to the Chris Do experience situation, right? You ask and he responded, and then you try to follow up, right? Were there at any point in time where you are also like having some feelings of, okay, it may not, fall through, or it may not, be realized in the way that you want? And how do you deal with that kind of, balancing between, okay, this is a worthy goal to go after, but at the same time, you understand what I'm trying to say?
You mean, did I have any doubt along the way whether this is going to happen? Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I suppose, then what I'm trying to ask is, how do you manage that? Because, okay, I have a term that I coin, which I call shit gets real moment. Like a lot of times in theory, we'll say, oh, that no problem, we'll go and ask, we'll do it, right? And then the moment you ask or you do, and then there is some form of positive response, some form of positive reaction to the request. And then you're stunned because, oh, this is happening. This is becoming real. And you become overwhelmed by the reality of the situation. So I'm wondering if you have that, and then if so, how do you navigate through that kind of emotion?
You are talking about feeling surreal, right? Like, oh my God, this is actually happening. But the interesting thing is that I didn't have that feeling until January, when we are about to organize the event. It becomes more and more surreal to me that, oh my God, this is happening. At the beginning, it was more because I'm very used to negotiating and discussing about different projects, different stuff, right, with different level of people. So I'm very used to those kind of meeting discussion. And you brought up a good point. If it's something worthy, it's going to worth some time to go pursue it. And along the way, did I have doubt that it might not happen? Yes, because how we work is very different. And sometimes it's not that easy because when you're not familiar with the other person, of course, Chris Do is popular, but I'm not familiar with him. And at that time, it was really very much a lot of business discussion to see whether it's going to work for both parties. But the one thing I want to say is that he, just to share a little bit of how from the ask to the first meeting, one thing I did say to him is, you don't know us. And I would understand if he would be skeptical. But we know more about him, even though I don't know everything about him, but at least, on the public front, I know about him.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, it makes sense for us to take the risk when it comes to bringing him to Singapore. because it's a long way to fly from America.
Yeah.
So if someone has more popularity and more people know them, their branding is more there, and that we are our advantage is that we are locally based, we are familiar with Asia, so we have more understanding of the market. So his advantage is that he has the brand, and I also, to a certain extent, I know he has fans in Asia. I just don't know how big it was. One thing about me is that when I want to do something, when I'm clear and I'm confident, I am going to go all out. And my conviction is quite high compared to most people when I'm clear and I want to do it. So one thing I did, so what I say to him is that we will take on all the risk to fly him to Singapore. And that's part of what, if you ask me, that's part of what sealed the deal. Which means that, even if we don't make money, we don't make money.
Right.
Yeah.
So you make sure that he is taken care of, and
That's
you'll worry about your portion later on.
That's right. That's right. And I think from a business point of view, taking calculated risk like this is that important. And that's the other reason why a lot of people have a hard time. Because when it comes to self-doubt and conviction level, most people have a hard time to, even if they ask, right, the thought about asking is that, oh, if I ask, what if they say yes? Because there are two things. What if they say no is one thing. What if they say no is that, oh, what if they reject me? So that's a rejection issue, right? And then the next thing is, what if they say yes? Am I going to make it? See, you can see how the self-doubt can play both ways. And when you have self-doubt on both sides, you're not going to ask.
Now, you brought up something that's interesting. And again, I think one of the challenges with a lot of people is, like what you just said sounds really, it makes a lot of sense, right? But some people be like, oh, that's just theory. In practice, does it make sense to actually so-called take the risk in that sense? I'm trying to see if I can phrase it better, because in your situation, what you said was, how you seal the deal was you actually, in a way took on the risk and having the other party covered.
Yeah. It's like insurance, right?
Not for me.
Insurance is where you transfer the risk, what?
Okay.
And that's a big part of how do you get people's attention? How do you get clients' attention is to take on the risk when they don't really know you. And that's how you build your goodwill, build a reputation.
Okay.
Yeah. And build trust, of course.
But again, so what I was alluding to just now, right, is it sounds all good, but the fact of the matter is a lot of businesses don't do it. And why do you think they don't do it? Is it that they are not sure of their own business, or they don't understand how to calculate risk, or are there some other elements involved in the entire process or in the entire frame of mind that is stopping, people and businesses from, quote unquote, taking on the risk to be able to, leverage more relationships?
I would say, we are all about leadership, right? It's a lack of leadership, lack of taking charge. When it comes to risk, anything that's within your control, reduce the risk. So what is within our control, using this as an example? Of course, we have experience running events, our own in-house events for many years. As a group, we have run 700 over events, up to 5,000 people. So from that point of view, obviously, we are more confident in what we can do. And that's the first thing. So with experience, your confidence level is going to go up, risk is going to go down. And then from sales and marketing point of view, we also have experience with marketing for someone like Chris. When it comes to brand name, someone who has a certain establishment in the market, even with someone who don't have establishment, we have done that before. So we actually had that experience. So that also reduce our risk. At the same time, one thing I learned over the years is that from a leadership point of view, you got to get clear why you want to do something, which means that if you're going to develop a product or a business or you want to sell if you want to work on something new that you're not familiar with, the first step is getting clarity. Why are you doing that in the first place? What's your ultimate goal? What's your vision for doing that? And with that clarity, right, whether you know how to do it or not is a secondary thing. The challenge with a lot of people's mindset is this is their risk level. I will only do it if I can see how I'm going to make it happen. I will only do it if I can see the how. Oh, show me step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If they can't see the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, they won't do it because to them it's too risky. What I learned is that when you're clear enough why you want to do something and what's the ultimate goal for doing that, the how can be easily, you can find the how on the way. By the time you wait until the how, nothing is going to happen. That's why people are stuck.
Right. Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, what you say makes a lot of sense. I think in a way, that's how we got our podcast started. We have zero idea how to do it. We were figuring out along the way. But it was clear to us that we wanted to do it, and here we are. You are, I think, episode number 6. Yeah, and again, it has opened up a lot of new things, new experience for us, and I think that we are thankful for that. Right?
Imagine you wait for all the pieces to line up. It'll be 10 years later. You will never be ready. You will only be ready when you decide that you want to do it. And regardless of the outcome, you know that. And to me, that's taking charge of what you want, right? Taking control of the outcome you want. And something I learned a lot over the years, I would never be ready. It's like, I think if you ask most parents are never ready to be parent until they are pregnant. Is it true or not? You have kids. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like
you can learn the theory all you want. Until you do it, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And in fact, it's interesting that you brought up this topic, which is why I love the idea of having, off the cuff conversation. Because now that you talk about, parenthood, parenting, right? I was just talking to a couple of my guy friends, and I think one of my friends actually posted on LinkedIn just earlier today about being a father, fatherhood. And he was saying that, throughout his life, he has never entertained the thought that, he would be a father to a child, right? It wasn't something that he was looking forward to. It wasn't something that he planned to do. But I think the moment he has a child, the moment he became a father, his entire worldview changed, his entire emotional paradigm changed, And the interesting thing is, those among us in that circle who are fathers, it's exactly the same for us. It's exactly the same for everyone. And I always like to say that, a man doesn't become, a boy doesn't become a man when, he goes through the world, he goes to work, or he gets married. A boy becomes a man when he becomes a father. That's really the transformation, I think, at least for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Parenting is leadership work.
But okay, so go. I obviously you're very the entire central theme about what you guys are doing is leadership, right? How does that tie in with branding, sales, and marketing? Because I can imagine, right, some of the people who engage with you, maybe some of your clients or students, they may not be in a position where they perceive themselves to be in a leadership role, right? And they are maybe looking at certain tactical or technical aspects of their life or their career or their business. How do you tie that in? Leadership, branding, marketing, sales. How do you tie that all together?
So one of the things that I had the same thing. I never see myself as a leader. And in fact, I was given a lot of opportunities to go into a leadership position which I would resist big time.
Mm.
But what I didn't realize was leadership is not just having a position or a status or some, basically status, power, and position, right? It's not just having a title. What I realized over the years through, Go Zone, right? Leadership is all about taking charge and all about leading myself.
Mm.
Because if I can't lead myself, how am I going to lead other people? It's about taking charge of the outcome I want. It's about leading the result I want. A lot of people go through life waiting for things to happen. They wait for the employer. They wait for the market. They wait for the grant. They wait for it's basically a waiting game. How I would describe my learnings about leadership is the opposite of waiting game. You don't wait for things to happen. You take charge. What I ask myself, what do I want in life? Do I want my current result or do I want something different? And a lot of people want something different, but are not willing to do anything about it. And I'm going to tie into sales, personal branding, and what's the other thing that you mentioned?
Marketing.
Marketing, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So the waiting game is what stopped a lot of people from getting the result they want. So they're always waiting and being at the effect of consumer, clients, boss, employer, husband, wife, government. It's like,
No, I think in Singapore especially, a lot of companies will, especially you talk about grant, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Singapore companies particularly are there are a lot of them just waiting for government to give handouts
That's right.
before they move. Yeah.
That's right. So the waiting game is real and it's more common. And that's why it's not that hard to stand out. When you're willing to do whatever it takes ethically, legally, morally on your side, you are going to stand out. You are going to show what it shows is that if you are willing to just take charge and do something different, and if you don't know how to do something, you go learn it and go make things happen, you are going to be you are literally leading in your game. And the more I can lead myself, for example, we talk about self-doubt. So what do I do when I have self-doubt? Most people will let their self-doubt win, which means that the outcome of self-doubt is that I'm just going to wait because I'm not ready. Whereas if someone take charge more and actually lead themselves more, they are going to do something to overcome their self-doubt and go take action on what they need to do in order to have the outcome they want. So that's leadership. Why personal branding? These days, whether you're employee or business owner, how do we stand out? And this is one of the things that Chris Do talk about a lot, that if we don't stand out, we are just like a commodity. So in your case, you're in a SEO business, you have your arrow chat, right? And there are many people who are providing similar services. True?
Yes.
So how do we as a consumer know what's the difference? Even from our leadership point of view, how do people, there are so many people talk about leadership, right? And that I even have people who say to me, oh, leadership is all regurgitated. So I'm like, well, that's interesting. You never asked me what my experience of leadership is. And, basically just made a comment like this. And so how do I stand out? And which is a problem because if I just talk about leadership, I'm going to be in a pool of people talking about leadership. So I'm going to look the same as everyone else. So in order to stand out, personal branding is the key because according to Chris Do, which I agree with him, what stands out for us as an individual from a personal branding point of view is that we all have our unique story. And it's our own story, our personal story, our values, our philosophy, our what we stand for. Those are the things that have us stand out as an individual, and we are representing our brand, our company's brand, our corporate brand. And when people get to know us through our story, when they feel resonate with us, because these days consumers are more sophisticated. They don't just they are more they don't want to just buy for the sake of buying. They want to buy from people that they like. They want to buy from people that they resonate with. And through storytelling is how we resonate with each other. So by doing personal branding is how anyone who is interested to be more visible in the market, that's how they can differentiate themselves with other people and attract their own. I know the common term that people use are tribe, their own community, their own audience. And these are the audience who can potentially work with them at different level, whether it's clients, partner, team member, investors, it doesn't matter. Most important is that they feel connected through the story, and that's the human to human thing that are missing in corporate brand.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you're never gonna escape the whole, 1,000-arm twist lady branding.
I don't know. You are the one who bring it up.
I wasn't the one. Chris was the one. Like I like he's just said that, oh, Victoria arm twisted me, like ding. That's a brandable and marketer moment.
I'm not
You
sure
know?
because it can sound negative. You know what I mean? It
No,
can
but
sound negative, and then if people have this, the challenge with sales is that
yes.
people feel like a lot of people who are supposedly in selling them something, they get manipulated, they get pushed, they feel like they are being asked to buy something that they don't need. So there's a lot of negative connotation when it comes to sales.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, which I think is also a nice, way to dive into the subject of sales deeper, because, again, I may have a different perception because I know you for a while, but, as a person who is in sales leadership and you like you say yourself, right, you are relentless and you know what you want. A lot of times people will be concerned, okay, if I do sales this way, if I try to do it in a relentless way, do I become pushy? Do I become aggressive? Right? So as you pointed out, sales has a very negative connotation in the market, right? People, when they heard about sales, they're like, oh, I don't want it. And even people who needs to do sales avoid doing sales. How do you reconcile
Can I
that?
clarify one thing?
Sure.
You don't do sales. Sales is a result. That's why it's called sales revenue.
No, but okay, and
It's
please
how a lot of people would say yes.
yes, and I think that's the big misconception. That's the big fog that is clouding everybody. So, like what you say, you're saying you don't do sales. Sales is the result. Sales is the outcome.
That's
so
right.
maybe help us break down what exactly do you mean by that?
So a lot of people say I do sales. You can't actually do sales. You get sales as a result. When you talk to someone, that person happen to want to buy what you have to offer, the result of that is a sales result. It's the outcome of a process.
Okay.
And the process is called enrollment. You're enrolling someone into what you have to offer that is going to meet their needs.
Right. Okay.
Enrolling. That's the difference.
Okay.
So yes, I want to say that because I laugh because you're not alone. I fall into that trap. Oh, do sales. No. Sales is the result of a process. And within goes on context, we call that an enrollment process.
Right.
Because you're enrolling people into something that they might not be aware that it can help them.
That is very interesting. No, I mean you caught my expression because, like, again, this is probably one of the first time that I heard the term enrollment being used in such a context. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you are able to just break down for us, right, in more detail, what does that enrollment entails?
The enrollment is actually, when we say enrollment, it's not that dissimilar to what Chris say when it comes to conversational process, conversational selling.
Right.
Essentially, it's about uncovering the needs and wants of the other person. Well, the first step, if you remember in the conversational sales workshop that Crystal facilitated, one of the first steps in the 4-step agreement is, do you believe in what you're selling?
Yeah.
Or are you selling just to make money? And that's a very important step, because if I don't believe in what I'm selling, how am I going to feel good about my approach towards when I approach people? So
Do you
that's
think? Do you think? I know I may be fanning out unnecessary flames here, but do you think that a lot of people in the market actually have no idea what they are selling,
Yeah.
or they are not at a level where they are capable of producing results, but they need to sell? Again, do sales, right? They need to do it because it's income, right? It's making money, right? Yeah.
There are a lot. I believe there are people who do that, but everybody has their choice and has their reason why they decide to do what they do. For me, I've learned that it's not for me to judge anyone, but my intention when I talk to people, when I work with people, right, the key is to inspire the right people who want something different to move into a different direction. That's more my intention than making people wrong for, you shouldn't be doing that, because who am I to say not to do that? If
Right,
that's the
right.
only way they can make money, why shouldn't they do it? And I'm not talking about doing it unethically, because a lot of people sell a lot of things that they might not believe in, but that doesn't mean that what they are selling doesn't help other people. That's why it's not a straightforward thing
Right,
to
right, right.
judge people. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Got it.
So
But
So just now I think you were asking me relentless. I want to address that.
yeah.
How do you not come across as pushy and aggressive when you're being relentless?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
feel like looking for the definition of relentless first, because I think being relentless, right, is different from pushy.
No,
Because being
I suppose definitely, and
yeah,
I realize it's funny that you talk about you need to check the dictionary, because I realized recently I also have been very rather imprecise with words, and someone got a different meaning from what I understood it to be.
yeah.
Mm.
And one of the things I learned is that it's so important in our communication. We have to doing word clearing
Yeah.
is important, because if not, right, we both are going to talk about we can say the same word,
Yeah.
but in our mind we're thinking about the definition is different. And then we end up having an argument over nothing, because we have a different meaning to the words that we are saying, to the same
No,
word we are saying.
you're so right. I think over the weekend I actually had a debate, debate / argument with someone over the definition of debate / argument. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's important to do word clearing. And the interesting thing is that so far the relentless meaning I'm looking at are all, it looks negative. I don't know. For me, relentless, at least this is my definition. So there are positive and negative definition based on what I'm reading from
Yeah.
Quora.
Right.
And it says connotation of relentless can be either positive or negative depending on the context. So in terms of positive, right, in a positive context, relentless can be associated with determination, dedication, and perseverance. And from a negative point of view, and also there's another definition that says that determined to do something and refuses to give up even when they are doing. See, this one, they put it even if what they are doing is unpleasant or cruel, but that is the extra thing that they put in.
Right.
Then they also talk about the negative connotation being merciless, hard, fierce, harsh. So it depends on how my relationship with relentless is. And I think having a clearing of the meaning can make a difference in people's ability to do it also. Imagine my meaning of relentless is, merciless, hard, fierce, and harsh. If I don't want to be merciless, then I'm not going to be relentless. Whereas
Right.
if for me, relentless is about being determined, dedicated, and perseverance, that's good quality, right?
Yep. True.
So it depends on my relationship with the word itself.
But okay, the word aside, right? I think it also goes to, okay, word is, your understanding of the word and the definition of it, right? But
Yeah.
I think that aside, the action itself, and the reason
Yes.
why I asked about, and specifically the sales portion, because you're one of the few people that I've come across, right? Even when we first got in touch, right? You're one of the few people that I come across where I clearly know that you have a sales drive, right? And you actually shared with me this before, that, to you, sales is fun. Sales is like a game. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand it. It took me quite a while to recognize, to understand, oh, this is actually a fun thing to do, right? But I'm sure for a lot of people, sales is not fun at all. It's a struggle. And a lot of people are saying sales is hard, getting customers is hard. I don't
I can
necessarily,
explain.
yeah, I don't, so that's where I'm coming to, right? I don't necessarily think that they look at the definition of their emotions or their character, but just the concept of sale gets a lot of people stuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, if you look at especially in Singapore and the Asian society, sales, the term sales itself and the profession is deemed as at a lower level.
I see.
I'm talking about trade conventionally. Sales is like, basically you can't find any job, you go sell something. Is it true or not? It's conventionally, that's the mindset that people have.
Right.
And that it's not exactly I'm talking about for the longest time. And it gets stuck in us, and that's why people have this adversity to sales. Not to mention, we associate sales with sleaziness, manipulation, snake oil salesman.
Right.
And when I first joined insurance in a sales career, right? At that time, it's more commonly said that if you can talk, you can sell. It's not true. It's totally untrue. And that basically what they are saying is that if you can talk well, you can charm anyone. So see, the negative connotation of sales is about charming people into buying something. And how many of us like to look like a sleazy snake oil salesman, car salesman, or whatever salesman? No one likes to look that way. What?
This episode is going to get bombed with all sorts of negative comments from car salesmen, insurance agents, financial.
I'm not saying
All
that
right.
all of them are like that. It's just conventionally, that's how it's being associated with.
Yes, I understand where you're coming from. But it's interesting because I do agree that, the whole charming portion, and there are people who are naturally charming, they're naturally able to talk, and they do get sales. But from my experience, those sales tend to be very short-lived because the facade, goes away very, very fast, right? The mirage fades very, very fast. But interestingly, again, on that topic, right? I was at a networking event a couple of nights ago, and some of the more successful entrepreneurs were sharing, right? How they are able to find customers, how they are able to talk to customers, get deals done, get relationship done, right? And I noticed a common denominator among those who are on stage sharing, that at some point they have been insurance agent or a property agent, right? Now, regardless of the association with that trade, is it used? And again, you yourself have been through similar trade, right? Is it really useful for someone to have gone through those industries and trades to be, not necessarily naturally, but technically better at sales? In your opinion?
I don't think so, unless you want to.
Okay.
Because that's the reason why if you go learn about sales is a professional skill. And that's what people don't understand. Sales is a professional skill. There's a system in sales that you follow to have predictable results.
Right.
When I
Right.
follow the system, I am going to have higher conversion than not. When I don't follow the system, my conversion rate is going to go down. And there's a basic to sales, the basic fundamental to sales that most people never learned before.
Mm.
And they are trying to sell through just, talking to people, trying to approach people, trying to have coffee, trying to chat, or, outright asking, oh, I have this, are you interested? I mean, none of this is going to work in the long term. It's people who do that will struggle more.
But again, here's the thing that's interesting, right? Sales literature, I mean, the culture of sales and sales literature is not something new. It has been around for, decades. There are decades of literature around it, So, and you mentioned that a lot of people actually don't bother to learn sales, right? Now, if it's a established literature, why are people not learning it? Based on your experience, based on the people that you have come across, right? What is the biggest, and just how you also mentioned about, a lot of people don't know that sales is a skill, a professional skill that can be trained.
Yeah.
But the part that I don't get is, if it's not a new literature, it has been around for years and decades, right? Why are people not reaching out to learn it if they recognize that it is important to their career or to their business? What's that gap? What's that gap?
I don't know if they recognize or not. That's the thing.
Right.
And if someone is what happened is that you have all kinds of sales professionals in between SMEs to solopreneur to, people who actually are actively selling, right?
Right.
To the salespeople in the MNC. I know MNC has higher chances of sending their salespeople to sales training, but not all send their salespeople to sales training.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is that a lot of when you are working for a big corporate brand, here's the reason why people don't invest in sales training. First of all, this is my understanding, and some people can correct me if I'm wrong.
Good.
Sales, when you work for MNC, some big brand, right? The salespeople are not necessarily paid well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some.
Right.
Some might be, I don't know, some might be paid really well, some are okay.
Yeah.
And also when you have big corporate brand, you have basically a lot of the salespeople are order taker.
Right.
I probably could get shit from this. So
it's on my channel. The bad comments will come to me first. Like, why on earth do you talk to Victoria about this?
So a lot of them, basically, they don't actually sell. The brand sell itself because they already have the branding.
Yeah.
So they don't really need to sell per se. They basically take in all the inquiry and the inquiry, then they will just basically this is the opposite of leadership. When it comes to sales leadership, right? How often do you call a company to inquire about something and they actually ask you a question about you? Big company.
I see. I get what you mean. Okay.
Or do they just say, oh, what do you want? Oh, and they say, oh, I'm interested in this, this, and this. How much is it? What does it take? How long is it going to take? And they will say, oh, for this one, it'll be this amount. For that one, it'll be that amount. If you want this, it'll be like that. If you want that, it'll be like this.
Right.
Is it true?
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, now that you mention it, right? I mean, at least from the IT perspective, right? Nobody really questions, IBM, for example, right? The IBM salesperson doesn't really need to sell IBM. Is freaking IBM. Like, what else do you need? It's IBM.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. You still need to, understand the spec and what people are wanting and all that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why, from that point of view, right, there's no need what. Because to them, I have people who inquire and I just answer the question accordingly. And to them, that's sales. And then if they get a deal, great.
Right.
If they don't, next. Because they pay fixed salary, very low commission.
I see.
Or some don't even have commission. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Okay. So it could be a motivation thing as well.
It could be yes, correct. And yeah, because there's no motivation to learn when you don't have when there's no incentive, right?
Right.
Unless you are very, very keen in. That's why business owners have a higher chance of wanting to learn about sales, because it has a direct impact on their top line.
Right. Yes. True. No, but the other thing that I want to lead into, since we talk a lot about sales, right? And then there's always this, sales and marketing, or marketing and sales, right? Right. You can be very good at sales, but you still need to have people to talk to,
Yeah.
before you can, enroll them and make the sale happen.
Yeah.
And that probably is the job of marketing. Or how do you see as two distinctive functions, or is blend together across a spectrum? At least based
They are
on
two separate function. Because this is what I learned from my chairman also.
right.
He said that marketing is sales multiplied. And the purpose of marketing is to...
Sorry. What multiply? It was a bit too fast.
Marketing is sales multiplied.
Okay, marketing is
Yes.
sales multiplied. All right. I need to have that. Then it will be a code. Okay, please.
So basically, the whole idea of marketing is that you are going out into a large pool of people, and your message is to create the awareness for people to know who you are and what you have to offer. It might sound like personal branding, but it's not. It's very different.
Okay,
But-
so
Yeah.
now we get into it, right? Like, what's the difference? Like, you have personal branding and you have marketing.
So personal
And I think
brand-
to a lot of people, it probably means the
Confused.
same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
personal branding is, whether you are the CEO of the company, you are the chairman, you are the manager, if you represent, you are representing, when you do personal brand, when I do personal branding, I'm talking about myself. I don't necessarily talk about my company. And it is my story that people want to get to know me, right?
Yeah.
And they want to know, what I do, blah, blah, blah. And when they get to know me and when they get to see me, they will be curious about, what do I represent? What do I have to offer?
Right.
And whether they reach out to me or I reach out to them, the relationship is already warm up because they already know me well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have experience with that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's part of a human to human connection, because like Chris Doe say, people buy from people. And what marketing does is that you are reaching out to an even larger pool of people. If you combine and you create the corporate awareness where people get to know more about your company and the service that you provide or what you do. And these days, I also learned recently that it's more about attraction marketing and not just, sell the product and services. It's really about educational. You educate people through a marketing process and having people to get to know, in your case, who's AeroChat, what does AeroChat do? So if you do some education on your marketing front, people are going to people are going to get to know your company more. And when you do your personal branding, you are the founder of AeroChat. And when you combine the both, right, then you get the best of both worlds. They see you, they see AeroChat.
No, I'm not sure. Sure if other founders are doing it differently, but at least, since you brought it up, right? It's for me personally, these days I feel that a lot of AeroChat's marketing is actually founder-led marketing, in the sense that, it largely derives from my personal branding. I think that drives a lot of it at the moment. Like, I mean, there's a reason why I go around with my pink shirt all the time, right?
Yes.
So in fact, I have people coming to me and say, they seem to have seen AeroChat somewhere. I'm like, that's probably because of the pink shirt. Yeah.
That's your success.
But so what I'm trying to say is, I think for a lot of businesses, SME entrepreneurs, founders, it seems very difficult to separate away. I can understand if it's an employee, they have their own personal brand and then they have a company or corporate marketing to deal with. But I think for business owners, it's probably harder to distinguish. It's probably harder to separate, because they are the head, they are the face of the business. Their personal brand, whatever they talk about, a large part of it is actually the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Of course, you got to talk about your business too. It's not that you don't talk about it at all, but it's different when you actually have a full-on company marketing plan to just promote the company, and then side by side you're doing personal branding. What I'm saying
Right.
is that if you combine, if you already have a huge attraction and result from personal branding, when you do corporate marketing, it's going to make it even easier because people are going to recognize from both sides.
Right. So what you're really saying is actually two separate elements that runs in parallel. You
That's right.
still have the educational, the attraction, the awareness of the product of the company, but at the same time, the founder-led marketing, the personal brand, it's sort of like a nitro boost. It adds on, it layers on top of that, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
You also reduce if you're advertising, you reduce your advertising cost. What? Because the market awareness is already there because as a founder, you are already visible in the market.
Right.
The corporate marketing is really just to, add on to it, to reach out to even more bigger pool of people who might not know you yet, but then they might get to know you through your personal branding because they're like, oh, who is this AeroChat? And then maybe they are curious and like, oh, AeroChat, oh, Alba Chu. Oh, then they can you see the parallel?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that, relying on one single instrument. It's more of, these are all layers that add together. So it stacks on top, plus another 2%, plus another 5%, and then it just adds on, make it easier for people to buy into what we are doing.
Yeah. The more they see you, the more they trust you. What?
Okay.
And also, I think the other thing is it also depends on how big you want to grow your business. For some business, they probably can just do, if they are not like intending to go big, they just want a reasonable revenue that's sustainable. They can, there's a lot of business who just lifestyle business.
Yes.
They might not need marketing. They just do personal branding. I don't know. So there's no
I
right
agree,
or wrong. Yeah.
I suppose for us, to quote what you say, we are relentless.
Yes. Oh, now you're happy to use the word relentless on yourself. Yes.
No, I mean, I'm after all a branding guy, right? I've been doing branding and marketing for 20 years. That's why the moment when, again, going back to that moment, right? When I don't know if you spotted the moment when Chris mentioned that, oh, Victoria arm twisted me. There was so many hidden giggles inside the room.
Oh, it's not hidden. It's everybody
it's probably
burst out laughing. Even I started laughing because I had no idea that's how he felt. Or it was a joke. He did say that it was a joke.
No, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Of course he meant it as a joke.
Yeah.
But I think what was funny was that a lot of people who had interacted with you before could exactly relate to why he said that, even if it's a joke.
Well, that's my superpower, right?
That's your superpower. And the I think was it on the same day or the other day when John said that, oh, because you push him to...
Yeah. He asked Chris asked John, oh, how did you get here, or why are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, Victoria asked me to.
Yeah, I think the whole room lost it. The whole room just lost it right there. And that's how your branding was cemented.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but it was a good experience. I think I think the event itself, in another way, besides being a good experience, it sort of crystallized, at least it crystallized for me, what it meant to be willing to ask or dare to ask. Because look what happened. This is what happened. This is an event brought life, actualized, because someone decided to ask a question and got an answer, or maybe a response, and was relentless in pursuing to get to an outcome. And I think that was something that's, at least for me, again, it crystallized why we need to take action. And I'm sure some of the people that we talked to during the workshop also have this, And in fact, I think a lot of people, I'm not sure if they talked to you about it. Like we were, gathering around during some of the break, right? And I think there was quite a fair bit of people who were amazed that, Chris landed in Singapore for the workshop, and they were quite surprised and amazed at how do you guys pull it off, yeah, and which is exactly why, right off the bat, I wanted to hear from you the experience of how do you pull it off.
Well, the other thing is also you got to be. I wanted to say about that is that in any negotiation or in any anything you want to pursue, right? One thing I learned is that you do your best to pursue it, but you got to detach from the outcome too. Because if you do your best and it still doesn't come to fruition, hey, you did your best. It's not meant to be. And that's something that it's a tough lesson, because we are all, when we talk to clients, when we talk to prospects, and when we are negotiating for different things, right? Or partner, it can be partnership, it can be anything. Everybody is wanting a certain outcome. And the toughest part in any negotiation and sales is that when people are fixated with the outcome they want, that's when it becomes really tough. Then we are not actually listening to each other. We are not giving each other what they want, and we are just wanting what we want. And that's why people struggle, because that's the reason why the active listening during the conversational sales workshop is that important, because people are not actually listening. They are busy preparing. They are busy preparing to say what they need to say in order to get the deal done. And then the other party is like, hey, excuse me, are you even listening to me? They might not verbalize it, but they are going to react and respond to you in a way that basically you're just not going to get the deal.
Yeah, you actually brought up a very good point. A lot of people do, spend the time not listening, but preparing what's the counter attack or what's the counter response.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what caused a lot of people.
Got it. All right. And with that, thank you, Victoria, for spending time with us on this show. Thank you so much. And hope to see you again, probably for a few other subsequent episodes in the future. I'm pretty sure there will be more stories, more viral moments that I can ask you for. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alva. It has been a pleasure, and I appreciate your time and appreciate your invitation, and to help me articulate a few things that I'm passionate about. So I appreciate that, and hopefully people can benefit from this episode.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay, bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoy this podcast, subscribe and share it with your friends. We drop new episodes every week, so stay tuned. See you in the next one.